Thank you, Mr. Speaker. My question is to the President of the Treasury Board. Mr. Speaker, in the length of time that this question period will take, the people of Ontario will have paid $1.4 million in interest on the provincial debt of more than $1/3 trillion. My constituents are very concerned about how our debt and interest payment will impact the government's ability to provide services and invest in social supports. It is clear that the Minister of Finance and the President of the Treasury Board have been working tirelessly to reform the province's finances. Last week, the Minister of Finance presented the fall economic statement to this House. Can the President please inform this House how the fall economic statement will put Ontario's economy and finances back on track? Thank you.
The President of the Treasury Board.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker, and thank you to the member from Mississauga, East Cooksville, for that question. Mr. Speaker, under the Liberals, the people of Ontario paid more and more for less and less. That ended last week with the fall economic statement. I like the fact that the Minister of Finance liked that. In fact, we have already reduced spending by 2% with no impact on service delivery, Mr. Speaker. While the opposition focuses on sound bites, here's some of what we propose. No Ontario income tax for 1.1 million people. $40 million in tax relief for Ontario businesses. Mr. Speaker, the opposition said it could not be done, that we couldn't reduce spending and that we couldn't make government better. Well, Mr. Speaker, we did, we have, and we will.
Hear, hear.
Supplementary.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker, and thank you to the President of the Treasury Board for that answer. It's clear that this government is serious about controlling spending while still providing the frontline services that Ontarians depend on, like better access to mental health services and long-term care beds. Mr. Speaker, it's much easier to complain than to act. That explains why after 15 years, we are cleaning up the mess they left behind. Can the President of the Treasury Board please tell this House how else the government is helping Ontarians? Thank you.
Minister.
Thank you for the question again, Mr. Speaker. Our government has acted where the Liberals have failed. Everything announced last week by the Minister of Finance makes Ontario a better and stronger province for all. In a matter of weeks, in fact, we have reduced our deficit by $500 million, yet we still increased funding to fight guns and gangs, and are building 6,000 new long-term beds, Mr. Speaker, all the while putting $2.7 billion back in the pockets of low individual and family income earners. Mr. Speaker, we promised that to Ontarians that we would act quickly to get to work and make life better. The Minister of Finance made clear last week that help is not only on the way, Mr. Speaker, that help has arrived, and it's the delivery of this government and this party who have delivered that.